Since the news arrived that Russia has invaded Ukraine, a question that has entered a lot of people's minds is Taiwan next?
Is China going to invade Taiwan?
Taiwan, for one, is preparing for an attack.
It's arrived in Taiwan this morning.
The Taiwanese capital, Taipei.
Taiwan's defense minister said.
There's a lot of speculation and debate. Some people are saying that it will never happen, that seeing how slow Russia's invasion has been might be making China reconsider. Others are saying that China could invade soon. But the honest truth is, we don't know what China will do. However, what I want to share today is a clip from a YouTuber called Johnny Harris. He showed what an attack on Taiwan could look like if China decided to declare war and invade. Before we get into it, if you think you might find this upsetting, please start watching now. Let's take a look at what would happen if China attacked Taiwan. Okay, let's get into this.
The first strike on Taiwan would likely look like just another Chinese provocative ADIZ flyover. China's done this hundreds of times, so at this point, Taiwan thinks that they're just doing another one of their routine flex our military might exercises. But this time, the fighter jet turns towards the island and begins firing. At the same time, China fires guided missiles from the mainland
Surprise
and deploys
attack.
tons more jets. And they all start firing in a fast, highly coordinated attack. The target here is anything that Taiwan can use to defend itself, like weapons that can shoot down planes or boats that are coming onto the island. This first attack would happen very quickly. So Taiwan's leaders are caught off guard and they immediately retreat underground to a command bunker where they can plan their response. They would likely be able to get some air power into the air and fire some missiles towards mainland China to hit air bases, radar, and military batteries on the mainland. At this point, Taiwan also sends troops to their western beaches to start laying mines and preparing for an oncoming barrage of Chinese troops who are probably now on their way across the strait. This has all happened within just a few hours, and the US is just barely hearing about this. China has likely jammed much of the communication channels that would allow the US to have a clear picture of what's going on. Meanwhile, back over in the strait, Taiwan's military assets are severely damaged, and China is now sending hundreds of thousands of troops and loads of supplies across this 130-kilometer stretch of water. But again, on Taiwan's western beaches, there are probably Taiwanese troops who have been planting mines ready for this invasion. So there's now a battle on the beaches as Chinese amphibious attackers try to hit the beaches and push back the Taiwanese defense. We're going to continue assuming Taiwan doesn't give up and capitulate and surrender to China at this point. If that's the case, the US is now just starting to respond, likely from their bases in the region, Japan and Guam. They deploy aircraft carriers with jets and bombers, stealth fighters, as well as fast attack submarines that will focus on one thing: hitting all of these ships, the ones that are bringing stuff and people across the strait. Japan and Australia likely come in as allies to help out on this defense. And now the US and its allies are in direct combat with China, two nuclear nations fighting each other. This is exactly what we try to avoid because we don't know where it goes from here. We don't know where the ceiling is. War always escalates. And when there's nuclear weapons involved, that's a very scary momentum. There's even a scenario where China actually strikes first, hitting US bases in Japan and Guam at the same time that they hit their initial targets in Taiwan. This would be a much more provocative move and would certainly bring the US full force into a war with China. But if you look at Chinese military writings on this, you'll see that as a part of this scenario, when they're thinking about it, they're not just thinking about the US and its allies and Taiwan. They also predict that India will take advantage of this moment of chaos and invade the Himalayan borders to the south. They even foresee Tibetan freedom fighters way out here in the west who have long been hostile towards Chinese rule, rising up and taking advantage of the instability to gain back control of their region. I mean, you can see how this starts to unfold. Before you know it, the entire region is devolving into a war that threatens to engulf many more countries, hundreds of thousands of lives. And this is where I want to stop, because from here it just becomes so speculative as to be completely useless.
It's a lot to take in. Like, imagining that actually happening is, oh, it's crazy. It's just super scary to me now. Like, Taiwan is literally my home, and it has been for the last 6 years. And to think that's a possibility, to think that Taiwan could be in the same situation that Ukraine's in now is awful. So I do want to follow this by saying that I don't think this will happen. I don't think China actually want to kill people and have a war. I don't think China wants war. Nobody really benefits from war. As you can see, if China does anything, everyone else gets involved. India, Tibet, the US, Japan, Australia, everyone just gets in and it becomes a big mess. I think China would like to take Taiwan the same way that it's taken Hong Kong, through political means and through social pressure and things like that, just taking it quietly and without so much brute force. But man, wow, that's scary to think about. That's really scary to think about. And my question to you is, what do you think? What's gonna happen? Like, do you think that is a real possibility, or do you think it will go some other way? If you want to see why I like Taiwan so much, you need to check out this video. I talk about why I support Taiwan, and you can see why I think of Taiwan as my home.